boys. Take two.
Take two. 3, 2, 1. Let's record a podcast. My name is Jake.
And I'm Alex.
And this is, I guess, we're going to call it episode 1, first official podcast for our weekly Talkcore podcast.
Yeah, assuming that the previous episode is the prologue to this.
Episode 0 or episode 0.5.
Episode X.
Episode X.
It feels very gamery to put an X where it doesn't need to be.
Like Planet X. Do you remember Planet X?
Is that a game?
No. It was just like it's like a trope, I think, right? Like way off deep in space, there's Planet X, and that's where the aliens are. It's like a 1950s kind of Twilight Zone trope, I feel like.
Oh.
Like things happen
There
on
was a
Planet
game
X.
called Lost Planet.
Okay. Right, I remember that, right?
Which has the same connotation, I feel like, as Planet X. But one of them's a game and the other one's a trope.
Well, I feel like the difference between a Lost Planet and a Planet X is Planet X, like, things come from Planet X. Things go to Lost Planet, right? Like, it's like discovering something. It's like a lost island of the Bermuda Triangle versus, I don't know, the source of our destruction. Planet X seems like where the destruction comes from. It's not important. Episode X is going to be what we'll call it now that we've given it so much airtime.
Yeah, for sure.
How you doing this week? Is that how people start podcasts?
Do they just talk about their week?
I imagine it's much like having dinner, like without the food.
It's kind of an odd thing because considering I see you every day.
No, you don't see me on Tuesdays and Mondays.
Right, so it's Wednesday, so you're asking my week, which means Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I guess how was your 2 days away from replay is the real question.
There's always like I'm gone, but there's also like, I wish I could just go to replay right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing about this place.
You'll
love it, and then you leave it, which makes you just love it more.
The problem for me is that my computer at home's fine.
Mine's not. Wait, it's actually
your
the
computer is the same
computer.
computer. You can't say that it's not fine.
Never mind.
It's fine. It's a Mac, so everything, it just takes like getting reacquainted with when I have to do like work. But I was able to do those photos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did photos of the interior here. Alex is in real estate photography,
so it's easier for me to do that on my Mac because of my familiarity with that whole thing. So I busted those out.
I've got a question for you because we just advertised on our page that we have the Creative Cloud here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your experience on a Mac, because I feel like the Mac is like I'm gonna do Adobe computer, like that's what everyone does with it. After using it here also, do you think there's an edge with our computers versus like your standard Mac?
I want to push back against that a little bit because...
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm not saying that's true, but...
I think Mac is very good and has always been very good connected to like Photoshop and Illustrator specifically. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, Premiere is not optimized for Mac.
That's
and actually,
bizarre.
Final Cut is supposedly the better Mac-compatible video editing program, which I don't use because you had to like pay for it up front, and
That's
I was
extra.
like, well, I need Lightroom, I need these, so I
you're
needed
getting
the rest
stuff
of
anyway.
the cloud.
Yeah.
So for me, when I use Premiere here, it runs like butter. I mean, the graphics card we have here is far superior to what I have at home. So like rendering almost doesn't even exist here versus when I'm at home and I like do too much to something. And then I have to like render it just to watch it back and go, oh, I screwed that up. So now I have to
render it just to watch it back?
Only if I do a lot to something.
Okay,
if there's a lot of post-processing.
Situation.
Yeah.
Well, I was here and I was just whipped up that graphic and I realized that the computer was moving slow, so I knew I had too many things open. I had Audition, Premiere, and I think Photoshop all open at once. With that, our logo's 6,000 by 6,000. It just slows the whole thing down, but
yeah, I like to export things big so that we can do anything we want with them.
Over the summer when we were coming up with our logo, Alex would repeatedly send me again 6,000 by 6,000 pixel images of our logo, which I would open up on my computer, which I got in 2012, right before I went to college, and the whole thing would crash. Like if I click like add stroke, and the whole thing would freeze for 2 hours, or I would just have to restart the whole thing. So it was a lot of restarting the whole thing.
Yeah, but imagine if we needed to blow it up.
What would you need it bigger for? What? For printing purposes, right? Like, for that reason alone.
I have no idea why the document was that size to start with.
Well, I can't imagine you
and
typing
I
that
don't know
in.
why we didn't change it immediately, and instead you tried to work on it repetitively and go,
Because I couldn't
this
change the
doesn't-"
size of it. If I had to change the size of the file, it would just like crash again. It was all with you. But anyway, it's turned out fine for printing our big sign, which we keep outside the front door.
Yeah. How was your week?
How? What's stupid week? But you have an itinerary today.
Yeah, I wrote some stuff down.
We're definitely learning how to podcast. Like I started to realize by listening to a lot of podcasts that sometimes they say, "What's on the docket?" or like, "What do we got today?" Alex had a whole bunch of ideas.
Well, you asked me.
Well, did you write those up on the fly?
Yeah.
Wow. As quickly as you replied, I felt like you.
No, you
Must
asked
have had
me,
this
and
in the
then
tank.
you made it seem like you didn't want to do it. So I was like,
What?
I better come up with some ideas ASAP.
Oh no! What I was specifically interested in was like getting a guest.
Right, but we could do that anytime. It doesn't have to be like, oh, well, I guess we won't record this week because we didn't get a guest that we had no plans to have.
I just thought it was a good idea.
It was a good idea. It's a great idea.
We're gonna reach. If you are listening to this and you'd like to be a guest, let us know.
First thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
COVID-19 restrictions relaxed in
That wasn't
Michigan.
on the list. That's a new
Wasn't
one.
even on the list, but
No.
I feel like it should be talked about.
So you sent me a message last night that said like, what did you say specifically?
I was being very sarcastic.
Okay, I
when
read it
sent
as sarcastic, but I replied, this changes everything. I decided that whether it was sarcastic or not, my response would be appropriate. Could be read either way as well.
So in order to get the joke, you have to understand that we opened a business in the middle of a pandemic, and in order to gain awareness, we haven't had an entire marketing budget. We also
Right.
opened a business that could potentially host up to 80 people comfortably
I think that's with the 6 foot distance.
with 6 foot distancing in a 5,000 square foot warehouse.
What is our actual capacity when it's not COVID? Several hundred?
Assuming that we add some additional tables and stuff.
Well, I just even mean standing room.
Oh, but who wants to stand?
Well, because like for events, like if someone was going to be like, hey, I want to put on a show here, or even if we had an esports
so
event.
if we like moved the tables out and that became all standing or something, or if we switched all these to chairs for a tournament,
Yeah.
I would say 120, 150 is probably capable.
Mm-hmm. I think we could hit 200.
So anyway, that's the premise of the joke is that, hey, we've got a big warehouse that could seat 80 people. Now that the COVID restrictions are relaxed, I said we can finally open at 50% capacity, meaning we could have 40 people in here. The thing is, we've never had 40 people in here. We don't even know if 40 people want to come here yet.
I know that 40 people do want to come here.
At the same time,
We haven't been so lucky yet.
we have not been so lucky yet.
Which does remind me, now that it is now March, is it March 3rd? Oh, it's March 3rd. Anyways,
It's the 3rd of March.
we are now, I think, 10 days away from the start of our second members only weekend or members free play weekend.
Yeah, I think that's on the
Let's see.
12th.
Yeah, it starts on the 12th. So not 10 days, 9 days. It's going to
9
go from the
days.
12th to the 14th, wrapping up at midnight on Sunday.
It's a good reminder that we should push some advertising for it too.
Yeah, we'll definitely put some stuff
with the
up on the
membership
feed.
drive.
You'll see that up on there. And again, we're still doing our membership drive. So if you want a chance at getting the secret prize, which I won't say what it is here, but I will tell you it's in episode X.
That's true. We
Go
did
back and
mention
listen.
it by name in episode X.
So if you've been curious what you're getting, if you can't crack the code in the pictures, if you're that bad at guessing shapes, we're giving one away. And if you sign up before, I think March 30th will be the final day for the drive. You'll be eligible
Unless
for that.
there's not a 31st to March, is there? It just sounds
I
wrong.
actually think there is. But when
don't
I
know.
said, should we change it to the 31st, you said, nope. You said the 30th. I said, okay. I said the 30th.
All right, sounds like something I'd say.
Yeah, he was Alex is hard and fast on the rules.
The rules are important, which brings me
Yes.
to
the
COVID-19.
COVID-19, right. Let's
rules.
go. Yeah, what you got there?
A quick recap is that effective on the 5th of March, on Friday, restaurants and bars, 50% capacity, up from 25%.
Can you believe that?
Same for retail shopping. Same for entertainment venues with a 300-person maximum. So that was the one that was most.
This is more exciting
To us.
from my perspective for being able just to go to restaurants and other places that aren't here. Like, that's what I'm excited for.
I still don't feel comfortable going to restaurants. Like, I'm not going to restaurants.
I understand that. I think I just want to at this point. Like, I just want to.
I feel bad for the people who still have to work in those conditions.
That's a good feeling, yeah.
And B, I don't feel comfortable. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you can have your mask off at the table, whatever. And it just feels like there's got to be, it just feels like the spot that anyone's going to get infected is the spot where they're munching down on nachos.
Isn't it apparently like grocery stores are the place where there's the highest rates of infection and
I would
transmission?
imagine that's because you got dingleberries who won't even put their masks on when they go into the grocery store because they feel like their rights are infringed, and we're freaking 13 months deep into this or whatever.
Oh my God.
I guess this is the 12th month.
Yeah, it's exactly 12 months. This time last year, again, going back to our previous episode, we were just embarking on a flight, I think, to LA.
Yeah.
We were hopping on a flight to LA to do our tour.
March. Oof.
I was talking to my girlfriend today, and I was like, if you had told me at this time last year that this is like, we'd be in here, set up, and like totally going, I would have been shocked. Like,
what?
Yeah.
We were supposed to open in April.
At every level.
You're shocked that we would be open by March of the next year?
Every time we got to the next step of developing this business, I was baffled. How did that happen?
Holy shit.
Every time I'd be like, oh, I guess Alex is just really into this. He really wants this to happen.
Did you see that Texas is reopening entirely?
Good for him. Go for it.
And removing their mask mandate?
Uh-huh.
They think the whole thing's over.
Go for it.
They were like, oh, the cold must have killed all of the bad stuff.
Well, isn't it that the heat does kill all the bad stuff? Like, vitamin D is apparently like an important element of this.
I don't know. Does vitamin D come from heat?
It comes from the sun. So I guess to answer your question, yes?
I don't think those are the same thing. I don't think
heat comes from the sun and vitamin D comes from the sun. So, okay.
I don't think the transference rule of mathematics is applying correctly here.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't think that's a real thing.
You made me feel like I really missed a big part of 8th grade math right there.
I shouldn't have sent you
the itinerary.
The itinerary in this text chain because it gets lost very quickly.
The business group chat has been muted by most of its members.
I don't have it muted. I don't have any chats muted because I like to rough and tumble with them.
Me too. But
although I did have to mute my Instagram notifications because the business one gets a lot of action that I'm not even involved in, and then I get angry, and then I'm like, well, I was trying to use my phone, but Jake's having conversations with people, so I guess I'm just gonna put my phone down.
If you message me on the business Instagram, I'm gonna talk to you. That is the fact. That is part of our business model. We want to talk. But I mean, I think so. I found your itinerary, by the way. Did you find yours?
I found it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the first thing we were going to talk about was what have you been playing?
Video games.
Video games, right? Yes, the topic of the podcast.
We've been playing Monster of the Week.
Oh, okay. So you're going to count tabletop too?
Oh, I would say any games. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'd love to play more board games, but without having people present, it becomes.
Do you know what I've actually been playing? I think this counts as a board game. It's not called Pictionary. It's Categories.
Okay.
In my whole life, I have made it through my Michigan. I've played euchre. I've been on the lake, but I have not played Categories. I feel like I just filled in that last column in my Michigan experience.
Who have you been playing that with?
My brother. Our friends.
Oh, I thought when you just said my brother, I was like, just the two of you? That's not a two-person game. It sounds weird with two people.
I actually think it'd be an incredibly competitive game. I think the less people there are, the more competitive it is. Right? Because, say you have a word.
Not necessarily, because you can't overlap stuff, right?
Right.
Like, if two people choose the same word, neither of them get points.
Oh, you're right. The more people there are, the harder the game gets.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I haven't been playing it with one person, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I still prefer code names for a party game.
Sure.
But I see why people in the Stone Age might have liked this game.
I mean, yes, Categories obviously predates that.
I feel like I just told you we played Go Fish this week. I feel like it's that basic of a game.
What's interesting, even, I mean, this kind of carries over, but tabletop games along with board games or any games that has like house rules or whatever, like the change in dynamic when you have a different group that you've either never played with or is like outside of your core group.
I feel like Catan is like the worst offender, and like going from house to house is a game that most people can play, but every time I get there, there's some new obnoxious rule.
That's really interesting. I feel like Catan, at least I've
You'd
played
think
with a
it's
few different
standard.
groups, but yeah, it's got very standardized rules, and maybe so do so many other games, but there's just a different dynamic.
It's always the small rules. Some people are like, "Oh, we play open face," and you'll say, "What?"
Well, I've never heard of this.
Our friend Candace was in here a couple weeks ago, and we played Ticket to Ride here, and she was telling me that she played with her sister, I think her sister-in-law, and they played open hand, and we're shocked to find out that other people played closed hand.
Like you were revealing what your mission was?
Like everyone knew what I don't know if they're called resource cards.
Yeah.
Everyone knew what resource cards you had at all times, which I think makes trading insane. It doesn't make any sense.
I hate that.
No, I hate that too. My favorite gag in Catan is to be like, I'll trade you 2 of this for 2 of that, and then I'll trade someone like not what I told them I'd give them. And then they get all, Jake, you said you'd give me this. And I laugh at them. And then we trade back. It's like, it never sticks.
Well, that's cheating.
It's not cheating. I always go back.
That's not the same as open face or closed face. That's just lying. You're lying to the person. Which, if that was your house rule, is that you could pretend.
It's so fun.
That's just
It's super
cheating.
fun. Well,
it's
always
like
worth it.
bluffing. It's a bad.
But it's not even a
bad
lie.
look.
It's not even a lie. It's like you were immediately forced to reverse the transaction. It's just wasting somebody's time for fun. I shouldn't be having
my
reaction.
reference would be like categories I had always played with my cousins growing up, and like that was like there's a comfort level. Like when you play together, it's like repeat whatever.
Yeah, you can use slurs. That's a joke.
It's an awful joke. So anyway,
it was very funny.
Just not a good joke. So I think
Alex
we played
hates slurs.
We played at like a New Year's with Alana's friend group, and like all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, am I still funny?
Oh,
Like, are these like good? Are my good references gonna work here?" And it, sometimes it's the same with like Dungeons and Dragons, where like depending on where you're pulling like media references and stuff from, or like Jackbox is another good example where like I would play with my friend group and we're having a riot of a time and I think I'm hilarious, and then I played with my improv group a couple times and some of my jokes just weren't hitting, and I was like, ooh, okay, I gotta change my tone here. Like it's the same with like an apples to apples group or something, right? Where like
I think apples to apples is a little more variable because it's like dependent on one person each game, right? Like it's that person's humor that it only dominates one round. It's not like a group where they'll be like, well, I don't watch The Wire. Yeah. You're like, I'm sorry.
You kind of have to find like what's funny to each person individually. Yeah.
As opposed to gauging a group, which is so hard. At least if you're the outsider, at least.
Yeah, I feel like categories is like just that one that sticks out in my head where I'm like, ooh, I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Well, I think this is a bit of a side issue, but did you ever remember back in the day what used to be like funniest Family Guy moments? Like that was its own huge genre on YouTube, and it would just be like cut-ups of like cutaway gags from Family Guy.
No.
Okay, well,
this isn't something I'm familiar with.
You probably
I understand the concept.
You weren't
of it,
11 in 2006, so that makes a little bit more sense. But I would also say like going in later and stuff, like it worked. Like you could watch that show and cut up clips, but you could never watch like a funny compilation of like Archer or Arrested Development because the jokes were so contextual. And you'd be like, this is such a funny show, but you can't cut it up into little bits. And I would say that's like the sign that in your friend group, have confidence, Alex. You are funny, but your humor is so contextual, so specific. If you could just take your jokes to any group and they'd all laugh, those jokes are hacky and they suck.
Yeah, that's not proof that they're the best jokes ever. It's proof that they're hacky.
Yeah, they're hacky and you appeal to the lowest common denominator.
I would say, maybe because I know the context, I would watch Arrested Development clips all day, every day.
Okay, I would too, but I also still found like they weren't as hilarious. Like, it reminds me of that one time where I had dinner with Kurt Cobain, and it's like a 4-second, written to be a 4-second joke.
Right. I'm hilarious. Let's move on.
That was such a flat read.
Yeah, it was a good read on it.
We're coming back 3 hours later, by the way. There's been a jump in time. I don't know if I sound older, but if I do, that's why.
I sound older. Next on the docket, I don't even know if we even talked about video games yet. I said Warzone at some point.
I don't remember you saying Warzone.
Maybe I thought about saying Warzone. I've been playing Warzone.
Right.
The new season started.
And you've been vocally against the zombies? The new zombies?
I'm not thrilled about first of all, I'm not thrilled about Black Ops' new zombies. I found it rather boring.
Compared to other zombies, is it any different? Because I haven't played yet.
It's bigger. There's like things to do, I guess, technically. Like,
is it Warzone bigger or is it just generally?
No, but you're like warping around to different subsections of Cold War maps. So I'm not a big Cold War player in general, but
Cold War
zombies,
is like 4 maps. I played it from
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how many maps there are.
Not enough. That was my noticing. I played it for about a month.
So I don't know. Any games that are like waypoint based don't I don't know. They don't get my goose. I'm not a big like player versus environment player. I want that PvP action. I want to destroy you in the arena of some kind.
Well, you brought that up to me last week, and I was trying to remember like what was the name of I think Gears of War kicked off that craze because I think they called it Horde mode, right? Remember that?
Oh, the PvE stuff?
Yeah. They had this whole thing where you and a buddy could play against just an ever.
I mean, that's sort of always been co-op is player versus environment.
Right. But like in a non-campaign context, I feel like.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like that really got popular because remember, just after that, Halo Reach came out and they had Firefighter, or their ODST came out.
Okay.
Which was like a reaction to Gears' success.
Gotcha.
And then I think Zombies was around the same era.
I know. I mean, even like Terrorist Hunt on like Rainbow Six.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I never played that one.
Always kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, I mean that era of stuff came out, and then Zombies came out, and that was like a huge success. And they just decided to try to repeat it over and over and over. And then Call of Duty, the Infinity Ward stuff, tried to do something similar without zombies. It was just hordes of guys that you were fighting, and it's like, okay, but not as cool without zombies. I want to be able to upgrade my pack a punch.
Well, that's the only reason they could get people to play non-Infinity Ward Call of Duty. So I feel bad that Infinity Ward felt that they had to make up for the thing that was making up for the fact that the other company wasn't Infinity Ward.
Right.
So of course,
that's funny. But yes, I've been playing Warzone. I don't love. It was weird because there was this new update and it was like super hyped and there was a boat incoming and then the boat is like a small subsection of the map. So supposedly by the 14th. I think the map is actually going to change. I don't know. Everything's still
Wasn't
in
there
rumor
supposed
mode.
to be a new map already? Yeah, there was. I played it. I played it briefly. I didn't like it that much.
There's a smaller map. There's like a rebirth map, which is an old map.
It's like Alcatraz, right, or something like that.
Yeah. But there's supposed to be an entirely new map, like I think involving Cold War pieces, like all that old stuff. There, more jungle based. It'll be very interesting. The one thing I've been disappointed about in Warzone is when the last season started, I think, or when they did the merger, they brought in these cool helicopters with gunners on the side.
That's cool.
And I was like, oh, that makes the helicopter entirely more useful. And then they go ahead and decide, oh, this is causing an invisibility glitch.
What?
And the only solution we have is to put the old helicopters back. So they never brought the new helicopters with the gunners on the side. And it's like, what are you doing?
I like that they're just changing parts. What the fuck?
Like they were willing to fix that like very quickly, but then the stim glitch that existed for far too long, they didn't just take the stim pack out. They decided, oh, we're going to have to spend some time figuring out how to fix this. It's like, just give me the cool helicopters.
Right. No, I've never been able to get into a helicopter. I climb into one and they explode immediately. I've always had trouble getting into Warzone. And I said this to you also before, where it's just like, I have more fun when I'm not seeing other teams. It's just like me and my little pack roving around. I'm like, we're going to run over here. Oh, okay, it's clear. One of you is wanted. Don't move. Just wait it out.
There's an intensity in just like playing, I think.
Yeah.
The biggest news, there was just a big tournament.
Oh.
the Toronto Ultra $100,000
Was it? It must have been
tournament.
online.
It was online. A bunch of streamers were involved with it. The first place team won like 50 grand.
Was that 50 grand each or 50?
50 total, so they had to split it 3 ways. I was like, why don't you just bump it up to 60?
Yeah.
Figure out the flat numbers. I was disappointed Z-Laner's team did not win, and also Dr. Disrespect was not allowed in the tournament.
Why? Did he have a team?
He was
Do you want to
part
play
of
solo?
He was going to be Z-Laner's teammate.
Okay.
Dripping in heat.
Uh-huh.
That's what they called themselves.
I like that. Wait, was it 2-person teams or 4-person teams?
It was 3-person teams.
Okay.
So they had another player. He ended up playing with Picnic and...
There's all
Can't
kinds of
remember
just industry disrespect for Dr. Disrespect. Like they just lock him out of all the
There must have been
platforms.
some Twitch affiliation with the tournament,
Really?
I'm guessing, but...
Oh, and you think Twitch said no?
I think they were, I think they just locked
What
him
did this
out
guy
of it.
do?
We'll
yell.
never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Maybe we'll know soon. Who knows?
I hope it goes public.
I saw something
Keeps his
I was
receipts.
going to look at. I forgot to watch the video. It was a notification I got that said that he was somehow in conversation with Mixer or something.
It's Mixer. Is it an alternative to Twitch?
The fact that you don't even know.
Oh my God.
My heart.
When people come in here, by the way, and they ask to use the retro consoles, Alex is befuddled. I want to make that very clear.
You have
Alex
to
is just like
flex that?
slightly useless when it comes to the retro stuff.
Well,
so.
there was Mixer was a whole big thing. So Ninja
Okay.
and a couple like Shroud and a couple other streamers. I think Shroud was involved in the move.
I'm gonna catch
moved-
every third word you say from now
They
on.
moved over to Mixer.
Oh.
After being, Twitch sensation stars, because
Yes.
Mixer offered a big contract. It was Microsoft's streaming service.
Oh.
And it lasted, I think, less than a year.
Sounds like a Microsoft project.
So they ended up getting their contracts bought out, and they all came back over to Twitch. But in the meantime of them leaving, that was like the rise of Dr. Disrespect coming back from his either hiatus or ban. I can't remember which one because he's had all kinds of career ups and downs. But he had basically become, again, the face of Twitch.
Uh-huh.
So they had paid like an exorbitant amount of money to him. So the idea
Twitch
that
had.
maybe he was talking to Mixer or something is clearly a slap in the face to them. So
Interesting. So at the time where all like Ninja has gone and his whoever else you said.
yeah.
There's a power vacuum that allows for the rise, kind of like ISIS, of Dr. Disrespect.
I wouldn't put that comparison to ISIS, but yeah,
It's
sure.
the easiest power vacuum
Power
I can think
vacuum.
of. Yeah. So he comes in and at the same time he starts to play footsie with Microsoft.
Yeah,
You
so
think that's the secret?
I mean, there's rumor of it at least. I don't know. It was the headline of a video that I forgot to watch. So we could be recording this, and it could all already be news, and I would have already missed it.
I like when podcasters don't know what they're talking about to an extent. Because it makes it feel like there's a more of like I have a foothold in like if we're talking,
someone can educate us.
Yeah, I'm like, actually, I know and I can interact with them and stuff. But if someone's just dispensing this God's eye view, like this knowledge, I just go, okay, I guess you're right. I'm not going to remember most.
Facts.
I just don't remember most of it. But so you're playing Warzone. What
Warzone
else
and
are you
League
doing?
are my two.
League.
They're always my two.
What brings you back to them?
I think it's the repetition. I think I really like battle arenas, and I think that's exactly what those two are. Where it's like you take it doesn't matter
Are
what
they
level
arenas?
you are. It's about rank. It's about competition. These are two of the most competitive games that are out there. I can flex my skills on people. I can show how much I've gotten better over the course of X amount of years.
Well,
For
'cause
League, it's about a decade, and I haven't gotten better. Where Warzone, since quarantine, I've clearly gotten better.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
much
a
better.
machine.
Which I don't understand how you be good at Warzone. What can you take me through like what you've done to get better? I even saw you watching a streamer, and I think you're like taking notes.
You then said writing notes.
Well, then you were analyzing, and I asked
Sure,
you you're learning, and you said he's boring.
I always analyze gameplay. That's probably the one thing that like makes video games for me not just like a fun activity. I want to be.
It's not just fun. For
I
Alex.
want to be good at them, so I am critiquing every aspect of gameplay on my own, of my team, of streamers. It's very annoying for people who play with me. Where it's like, oh, after the play happens, I go, oh, well, if you would have done this, this, and this, or I would have done it this way.
People run out of ways to reply to you that's like kind.
Yeah, then we get into a big fight. Well, then, baby, you should have still been alive. Ah.
They start nitpicking things they weren't even mad at you for, but just to defend themselves, like, well,
yeah,
you.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's funny because I actually got into an argument the other day. I've been the squad leader. Like I make the calls when we play Warzone.
You're making the analysis, yeah.
But people weren't listening to me, so I
no.
stopped doing it. But I stopped doing it very passively. So we all are like sitting still, doing nothing, nowhere to go, no waypoints. And I'm like, what do you guys want to do? And they're like, you make the call. And I'm like, no. You guys go ahead. And they're like, what do you mean? You always make the call. And I was like, yeah, but I stopped doing that, which is why we're standing still.
But you didn't tell them that?
No,
you just
I didn't tell anybody. So then we got into a whole conversation about it. I was like, I'm not being heard.
I love that you guys are having this. I don't mean like a little bit of a bitch fight.
Yeah.
In Warzone, sure. It seems like a machinima where two guys are just like
exactly. But so
I'm just not heard in this relationship.
Their argument was they always listen to me or whatever. So then like literally like 20 minutes later, I'm like trying to make a call. We had 2 people on our squad died to snipers. And I'm trying to hold them off, but I'm like, oh, we have enough to buy back. Let's just fall back and buy back. So I start moving, and I look, and my partner who's still alive is just shooting back at these snipers again and again. And I'm like, no, we got enough. You got all the money. We got to fall back to the buy. Let's go. Still shooting, and he gets downed. And then I was like, remember when you wanted an example of when you guys don't listen to me?
Oh, my God. I think if anyone ever wanted an example of what it is like to work with Alex, this is your most this is your insight.
Yep.
Remember when you guys said you were listening to me and I proved that you didn't? Remember that? Should have listened to me.
I have certainly some type of God complex where I'm always have to be right about something.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Sometimes if I just relax and like let you tell me what's happening, it's never gone wrong for me. Honestly.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
So far, I've been fine.
As long as the accuracy stays positive.
Yeah, I think the only thing now is going forward, and we mentioned this on episode X. Go listen to it. You mismeasure things. Maybe I'll measure things from now on.
Yeah.
Other than that, just say, Jake, go measure that.
Mismeasurement is certainly one of my big flaws.
Because I'm truly scared of minute detail because I don't know how to pay attention to anything.
Now you know what it's like to work with Jake.
Now you know what it's like to work with me. I will measure things like 5 times because I'm so convinced that I didn't get it right the first 4. So measuring is actually not that hard for me.
There you go.
It's a fear-driven thing.
Fear-driven measurement.
Oh, especially like with measurements where, like you said, like if your kitchen cabinets just fall out of the wall. And then you go, oh,
yeah,
no.
Yeah. I mismeasured the garage doors too, but look at those.
Well, they are
those beautiful, perfectly measured things.
I don't know how we forced the doors. I think without your dad and my buddy Eric, there would be no doors. There'd be no doors.
We would have already taken the other ones off, and we would just had to like saran wrap something together.
Yeah. It'd be a saran wrap layer that we'd put up every day, every night.
You'd punch your way through.
We cut through it every morning.
That'd be a cool entrance, though.
Yeah. We definitely put, if that was the case, we put some smoke machines and lights by the saran wrap so you felt like you were maybe like breaking through. What's it called in Stranger Things? The other side, the other upside down.
Upside down.
You'd want to feel, some kind of way about that.
To answer your question,
what was it? What was my
you
question?
asked how I got better.
Oh my God! How did you get better?
I've been playing Call of Duty since Modern Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the older ones too. I think I played Call of Duty 2 and 3.
But I played them also, and I don't think that those skills apply to Warzone.
I believe they do. I mean, I think as a 2-stick shooter, as I like to refer to it, because you've got games like Halo, which doesn't really feel like a 2-stick shooter.
Are you fucking joking? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, no, get real close. Get real close to the mic for me right here. You hear me? All right, let me talk to you. Before Halo, there were no 2-stick shooters. Halo put 2-stick shooters on the map.
Yeah, whatever.
What are you talking about?
You can't even aim.
What are you talking about?
There's no aiming in Halo.
What are you talking about?
You might as well play GoldenEye.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, you don't aim your gun in Halo.
What do you do?
Not to mention, you can't even hear anybody walking around. What kind of game doesn't have any audio of people's footsteps
there?
There
are.
No. I played it the other day.
What are you talking about?
I'm just telling you, So anyway, I've played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare, and the skills have been built upon. And so now when I watch streamers, I'm watching for strategies and what's meta and such and such. So you've got certain gun mechanics or certain gun choices. You've got certain loadouts. You've got specific, like, I guess the meta right now, and maybe has always been, is you're basically bounty hunting in order to understand where an extra guy is on the map. But it's basically kill UAV bounty, kill UAV bounty. So you're always kind of being aware of what is going on after you get your loadout, of course.
Once you get your guns, I'm just repeating this as someone who doesn't excel at Warzone.
Sure.
I'm then getting my UAV.
You want to buy a UAV so that you can see who's close to you, or if you're getting pushed, or if you need to do the pushing.
Move on those guys, kill them, and just repeat.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
But obviously always moving into the circle or holding guys outside of the circle,
and
if that's what the UAV.
You buy your UAV, right? You don't.
You can. You can find some on the map. It's like a rare drop in a box, but yeah, you can buy them for $4,000.
Them as a box.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of following those procedures. But like I said, I was watching. His name's Iron, and he's like got the #1 win rate, and his play is a little bit more of a boring camping style. And I would call it camping. There's like two types of camping. There's like defending an area
waiting
with
for someone
reason,
to come up, yeah.
And then there's like camping where you're like literally you don't have a reason. You don't even know if anyone's around. You are just holding a position to hold a position. I think the first one's acceptable. Like if you know someone's pushing you, you have the right to like secure an area. Whereas if you're just sitting behind a door with a shotgun and you don't even know that I'm around.
Right, but that can't last for too long because the circle closes, right? It forces the game to move.
Yes, but there's also a strategy of picking up what's called recons, which is a flag that tells you what the next location is.
Okay.
And you can pick up like 9 of those, which tells you like where the very center of the final circle is. And then you can just go sit and wait there.
At this final circle.
Literally in the final circle, just waiting. So
much
Iron's strategy is a sort of like merger of those two ideas where they will get 2 helicopters and then go secure like what they believe is the most secure spot in whatever circle they have access to. Which is fine. I get it. They're all snipers, so they just fly up to a high building like in downtown because that's where the circle is, and then they start to pick off guys, and they fight to hold their area. It's not like they're just sitting on top of a building waiting, so that's nice. But it's just a little more boring than like Doc and Z, who are literally like grabbing a car, driving to the next group of people, picking up a bounty, driving to the next group of people, and like running and gunning like a Call of Duty shooter should be played.
Should be, and I agree. Should be played. Super entertaining, super fun. And I think that's why I don't mind losing in Warzone, because it's just like, it's the Call of Duty game loop.
Oh, I mind.
Well, you know what's going. I have
top
no
10 or bust. That's our rule.
Really?
Yeah.
How often do you hit that goal?
We usually are pretty good. We were getting like 1 win a night at least, and then a couple top 10s. I can't
imagine winning Warzone.
It feels nice. It's a good feeling.
I bet it feels good. How long does it take to win a game?
I think a full game is like 35 minutes.
That's not that bad.
To the final circle.
Okay.
But we have, we're all in like different time zones that we play with, and like everyone's got different schedules. So we have rules with how we continue playing. So if somebody at midnight's like, "Oh, this is my last game," then we have to get a top 10 to continue playing.
Okay. To justify, you got to be feeling the hot hand.
Yeah. We're not going to keep playing if we're just like, oh, we got 40th. So once you start getting top 10s, then we end up playing for longer and longer and longer. And then there's also the rule you can't end on a victory. So then if you win, you got to play another one. And
I can imagine like being so tired and sabotaging the win. That
is typically how the game ends up ending. I'd say my brother and Monkey Balls will get tired first. So they will typically be like, I'm a little sleepy, and then they start making like bad decisions, and you're like, and then you have to play at like a heightened
To make up for, which I'm sure they love, is they're trying to get out of the game at any
so
cost.
Then they're watching me like play, like running the underground tunnels, and you see like 14th place, 13th place, 12th place, like people dying around me, and I'm just staying alive.
Oh, is the only team member still kicking?
Yeah, like just like fighting for my life to make sure we get top 10 to continue
I
playing.
bet your brother's just nodding, because your brother's in Australia.
My brother's in Australia.
So what
he
time are
plays
you
on
playing
a
at?
12-hour time difference, sometimes 13, depending on daylight savings. But he's also got 2 kids and a wife, and plenty of work to do for me.
Yeah, that will eat into your time and your ability to stay awake, for sure. But you've also, because you brought it up, I guess this should be my answer too. We're playing Halo around here these days, Alex. That's the house game these days. That's the name of the game.
House game.
That's
yeah,
the house
it
game.
is unfortunately the house game right now.
You have expressed a lot of surprise at the interest in Halo. And I'm wondering what's the core of that?
I was never an Xbox owner.
Okay.
And when I did, I had borrowed my friend Devin Sheen's Xbox for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I traded him my PlayStation because he wanted to
Was
play
it like a 360 or an OG?
specific game. It was a 360. And the only time I'd ever played Halo was in like Dan's basement in like 9th grade. And we would play Halo 2, and he was pretty disinterested, but I liked playing multiplayer games online, so we'd play. And
disinterested in Halo 2's
disinterested in his like he owned it and played it, and he was
all
like,
the time. And you came over and like, hey, let's play this game. And he's like, okay,
yeah,
bro.
So there was that, but I had an Xbox 360, and when I had Xbox, I would I would play Rainbow Six Vegas. Like that was my.
I think
Xbox
that's why
game.
you've made the transfer to Warzone so quick. I feel like there's a lot more in common.
It was a 2-stick shooter.
What the fuck is a 2-stick shooter?
A game that requires you to aim the gun.
I'm gonna get so fucking mad at you. How do you win at Halo if not by aiming? What are the
you move your little crosshairs, and you're like, oh look, I don't even have to I don't have to be accurate because my stick just does all the work.
So it's just like there's less auto aim is the.
I mean, I'm sure there's less auto aim, but you're not. There's no aim down sights. The accuracy is fictitious.
Well, no. Some guns have sights.
No. They have sights, but even if you have a sniper and you aim down your sights and you're down the scope, it's the exact same as if I was not aimed down my sights. Like the bullet goes to the same spot. There's no like recoil patterns to understand.
I don't think there are any recoil patterns to understand.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it not a 2-stick shooter.
I mean, yeah, it's technically a 2-stick shooter because you do use 2 sticks, and it was one of the first games to adapt this style.
Right.
But in the same way that, like, Ghost Recon, like, also was technically a 2-stick shooter, but I guess 2-stick shooters are bad.
It just
genre.
It definitely flies in the face of the fact that there are
right.
2 sticks.
The aim down sights is more what's essential.
Well,
here.
don't you play with mouse and keyboard? I've heard.
I started playing mouse and keyboard because I couldn't understand the Xbox layout buttons. R3 is aim, L2 is grenade, L1 or left bumper, as Xbox players call it, is grenade switch. What?
Yeah, it's just always been that way.
That's just crazy.
I think like only with the Infinity Ward Call of Duty 4 did we make the switch to like aim down sight is L, right? Like
right, because it was the only thing that made sense to aim a gun. Like me pushing in the right stick in order to see crosshairs that don't matter is insane to me. So I had to switch to mouse and keyboard so that I can right click and shoot. If I need to.
Despite
but you don't
all
need
of
to.
Alex's lies, we have actually discussed recently, I think, and maybe we go forward with this, a Halo League. We're recording this on a Wednesday night, but I think Wednesday night we're looking at a night for some type of league gaming. And right now, Halo, in my mind, is the number one contender just because it's what people come in and play.
We've seen the most Halo players. I think we could probably garner a Halo League.
Mm-hmm. We probably buy a couple more copies, but like
I'm
only
sure a
3.
lot of players who play it anyway probably have it. Yeah, we'd set up some tournament style fights. We'd get some pizza and stuff going.
Yeah,
maybe a prize pool if people are into it.
And we can discuss the details later, but we could definitely do like some doubles. Maybe if we get 8 players, we can go into the big team games where it's an 8-player team.
See, now you're talking my language. I'm an objective player.
I
don't
despise
want these
objectives.
team deathmatch games
Team
where
deathmatch
it's just
I like.
Slayer. It's fine.
It's such
as
a race.
warm up. But man, there is so much more strategy to like a capture the flag. Like we played that capture the flag game on the
Beaver Creek, Halo
Beaver
1?
Creek. I was gonna call it Quarry, and that was like the most.
Oh, do you mean Blood Gulch, like the original Halo, the big map? You keep calling it the one you know, but I think what you mean is Blood Gulch / Coagulation.
Maybe.
Okay.
The one we played had the teleporters in the back of
That's
it.
Battle Creek.
Okay, yeah. I figured because it had a creek that runs through it was going to be the next thing I defined it as. What is on the TV?
I don't know.
Just traffic. I thought it was Beverly Hills Cop after the conversation that we had.
I watched
It's got
Beverly
that
Hills Cop
90s
recently.
like
It's so
transitional city effect.
I can find out. This is we've gone off script.
Just distracted me. I don't know what it is now.
We've gone off
Anyway,
script.
the Halo League. Yeah, capture the flag. That was the most fun because we were like, we were shouting at each other like, hey, they got the flag, or which way did they go?
Did we win that game?
We won that game.
Okay, awesome.
I think Jonah ended up pulling in 2 flags, and you and I were just running the map, like defending him with our lives. And I was throwing grenades nonstop.
I think if we're going to dispense any tips, because again, we've been playing so much Halo, what I've realized is if you're doing capture the flag, the best method is to run straight across the map because everyone tries to get creative and go around the long way, which is where you end up dying. Like, that's where, like...
If you've got enough covering fire...
You can run the center, and it's the fastest way.
The one time I picked up the flag, I hadn't realized you don't get to shoot anymore. So I'm running with the flag, and then Jonah's like in my ear trying to tell me how to drop it if I need to.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to drop it and pick it up because when you do that, the flag falls forward a couple inches, so you jump and throw the flag. It's a technique.
There's a hold. See, there's another tip and trick.
Yeah, no, that's famous. Do you want to know how to sit on someone's face too? You crouch on their head.
Oh, well, I know about the tea bags.
Yeah. Essential. Well, it's just, if you're not going to know anything else in Halo, you may as well know how to sit on some dude's face.
Have you been playing anything besides Halo?
Have I been playing anything besides Halo? I've picked up Quake. I'm playing through the campaign. We got that on the computers here. We're doing it on Quake Spasm, which is, I guess, I don't know if it's a color program. It's something that enables Quake to play a little bit more like it would become later. So the gun is no longer glued as only shooting straight ahead, which is a feature of the original Quake. It plays like the first Doom games where, like, instead of like looking up, down, left, and right, you just look straight and look left. Yeah, it unlocks the gun and it kind of renders everything a little bit nicer. So I've been playing like that. Not too much though. So
it's categories, like you said.
Categories. Right? I feel like that's the weirdest answer to what have you been playing, like categories and Quake.
Categories and Quake. You're in the 90s.
I love them. I love these games.
Australia, which is also just the 90s, if you didn't know.
Oh, I had no idea.
I wrote down State of Gaming, but I feel like that was sort of covered in what we talked about.
A little bit. I have my... Whatever. We'll come back to State of Gaming when we have something more important to say.
Are there any new games we have here? Like you said, we got Quake. I can't think of anything else we've downloaded
been
lately.
Side-eyeing me for trying to buy Superhot.
Oh, we already have Superhot on VR, and you want to buy it again on not VR.
$10.
Yeah, but we already have it on VR. The better way to play.
Sure. But I know that if I came here and someone's like, do you want to play VR or do you want to do PC? I'd be like, PC. But I like Superhot. I would.
So if you specifically wanted to play Superhot here, and we only had it on VR, you'd be like, oh, well, I guess I can't play it.
I might be a little shy. So that's my pitch.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Come in and play our VR headset. I want to have a reason to buy more because I want to be able to do parties. So I'm just putting that out there to listeners. Go ahead, though.
I don't think we've downloaded any other new games. I think that we did the updates. We've got a lot of updated games.
You guys have enough games.
There's a lot of games.
This is to the crowd out there. If you can't find something to play, just ask. We'll direct you towards literally something.
Something that we did mean to talk about and we still haven't made a post about is you can play your own games here.
That is something I was in the bathroom and thinking to myself about how that's got to be.
Naturally.
I think about social media. I'm running the numbers in my head. No. Yeah, that's something people need to know here is that if you come here under the apps section, which people seem to have trouble finding, but it's under the games tab.
Listen, I don't really like the layout of GG Leap either. I'm hoping we get the new beta version soon.
I was thinking that the other day also probably in the bathroom. I'm like, where the fuck is the new GG Leap? GG Leap is our client, by the way, for anyone who's listening. It's like, what's GG Leap? When you turn on our computers here and you see all the games, that's GG Leap. No, it's totally confusing. But yeah, we have Steam on there, and if you just log in all your games, right there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so if you don't have a game and you want to try a game, you can try our games.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a game and you just want to play it on better hardware, you can go ahead and download it on your Steam or whatever. You can ask us to pre-download it for when you get here, etc. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
No.
I wrote down my attempt at mining an NFT, but I feel like that's it's still in the works, so we should push that to next week.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell anyone who's listening that you should be very excited to hear about Alex's NFT project. If you don't know what NFTs are, turn on any podcast. They'll just mention it to you, whether you selected that topic or not. I was listening, I guess I said, if anyone's familiar with the Needle Drop, which I found out that you weren't, but it's the biggest music channel on YouTube, basically. And the rapper from Linkin Park is on there. And I was like, I remember being 11. What's he got to say? And because the singer from Linkin Park died, so I was just like, oh. Maybe
Chester Bennington. Give him a name.
Chester Bennington. We knew him. We all loved him. We then had to never admit that we liked that. But we all listened to it. Anyways, he died, right? And I thought, I'll catch up with Mike Shinoda. What's Mike Shinoda got to say? He gets into the NFTs. He's just in the middle of it. He's like, oh, and that's why NFTs are so great. And then he actually never comes back to why they're great, which was disappointing, but...
So we'll talk about my NFT journey next week.
And I'll write up a nice little explanation.
I got to get more into it.
Yeah. And I think we just got to meet people who don't know with like a quick explanation for how NFTs work. If you don't know. What else did you write down?
Well, I wrote down commercial break. So I guess this is where we push a commercial break where it's like brought to you by Replay Cafe and Faygo. Not really though, but Alex is drinking Faygo. It got the grape giggles, and don't you know it?
I'm bad.
What the fuck was that? Was it the Faygo Monster?
No. I was drinking a Monster, and I was trying to do like a Monster voice for my commercial, but I just couldn't think of anything to say. I choked.
Monster gives you wings.
No, it's Red Bull.
Oh my god. Just the grunts.
I know I put my hands up also.
Also brought to you by SpaghettiOs.
SpaghettiOs. When you eat a food, you want it to spaghetti show. That's why you gotta have SpaghettiOs. Look at that guy's teeth. He had SpaghettiOs.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiO.
We are going to come back probably a little bit later with a written out SpaghettiO page.
Better commercials.
Yeah.
We're trying to get on the SpaghettiO radar, if you will.
Yeah, it's a subscription. What's the term for it? Sponsorships.
I was like, what? We can get a subscription to SpaghettiOs? I wonder if they're going to require us to put a microwave in here if we do get, a membership to SpaghettiOs.
I think we should just...
Maybe they'll have a SpaghettiO branded one where you with the perfect. I used to have, as a kid, actually have a bowl that was specifically for one SpaghettiO can. It fit in it perfectly, and it was a SpaghettiO bowl. That's what the artwork on it was. Oh this was the dish for SpaghettiOs, and then because I only eat SpaghettiOs with sliced franks,
which is fucked up.
Listen, I don't understand
the meatballs are good.
I don't understand why, because who is eating spaghetti with hot dogs in it?
Mm-hmm. No, I think
I don't know where it came from.
Yeah,
but it tastes very good, and the sauce tastes slightly different than actual just SpaghettiOs. Can't eat SpaghettiOs themselves; they're not good. But with the sliced franks, and then you get Keebler Club crackers.
What's a Keebler? Is it the one with the elf? What's a club?
The green box, the salted club cracker. You gotta know.
No.
Oh, man, we're living two different lives.
You keep describing it. I'm going to look it up on my phone.
Okay. Well, so I put, you put those, you line your little SpaghettiO bowl with them as a kid.
I'm listening.
And then you put a scoop of SpaghettiO and hot dog or sliced frank onto half the cracker. Now you got a little SpaghettiO sandwich.
I've never seen this cracker in my life. Well, that's not true. I've seen them. I just haven't seen the box.
I still eat that. I think it's great. I think it's a great meal.
Wait, you're regularly eating the spiced... Are they called spiced franks?
Sliced.
Oh! Well, they should be spiced.
Yuck. Why would you want to Ugh. I had a hot dog. Did I tell you about this already? I had a hot dog from Shake Shack in Tokyo.
No.
Not the same hot dog. It's like spiced differently, and it tastes
I bet it's probably really good.
very bad.
Really?
Unedible.
No what?
Couldn't take a second bite. Don't want it ever
really
again in or around my mouth. No good.
Okay. Next time I'm in Tokyo?
Next time you're in Tokyo,
Okay.
don't get a hot dog at Shake Shack.
No.
Probably don't even go to Shake Shack, to be honest with you.
Oh my! I had a friend when we first went off to college where we go to Ann Arbor, right? And there's like it's hard to find fast food in Ann Arbor just because of the way the city's laid out.
Yeah.
And he would insist on going to like Chicken Shack in the basement of like the student center. And I'm like, you're in a city full of small like boutique restaurants or something where the prices aren't that bad. And you're like taking us to the same place you would have gone if we were just at home driving through strip malls and stuff.
If we're going to pitch Ann Arbor food,
Mm-hmm.
there's a place called Ray's.
Okay.
Great burger.
Okay.
Pretty good hot dog.
Is it a bar style place? I don't even
It's
know.
like a diner, not even a diner. It's like literally like a hamburger hut.
Oh, sweet.
Pretty good.
Nice. I recommend Jerusalem Garden for anybody who's
But if you're looking for chicken,
if you're looking for chicken.
there's a place called Haymaker's Public House.
You know, that's in Ann Arbor?
That's in Ann Arbor.
You know a lot of restaurants that I don't know.
I lived in Ann Arbor
Oh, that explains it.
2 years ago or something.
Did you live with Alana there?
Yeah.
Okay, I visited that place one time and you weren't there.
Did you come over?
Oh, it was when I was living in Grand Rapids still, I think, so it was
Okay.
difficult for me to make the drive. And one time on the way back, Alana made a plan.
I must have been.
You were, I think, even like
It's probably
long
when my
trip.
brother was home, so I probably went over to his house.
You were on a long trip somewhere, or at least it was like you weren't coming back for a day or two or something.
Doesn't sound like me.
Okay, it might have been like a few hours. It was It doesn't matter why I was doing why. It doesn't matter. But
My next topic is small business tips, and
we're gonna need to find a way to transition topics.
No,
This
that's
isn't like my next.
That's a great transition move.
I've listened to people who do like a full reading list of what they're gonna talk about on the podcast.
I just feel like
In the beginning.
we got to kind of rush through the rest of this because we spent a lot of time on the stuff
riffing
that
on SpaghettiOs.
Like riff is only one word on this whole sheet.
Right, but you got to extend it all the way down. Like it's riff. Riff is the style. Actually, it's why it's the first word on the notes.
Yeah, that's true.
Continue.
Small business tips. This is the biggest one, and this is one we implemented this week. And now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it in everybody's profile. It's the link tree.
Really? What do you mean?
So everyone's using a link tree or some type of third-party website to put all of their links together, which now that I'm seeing it more, I'm seeing it with local artists who have like a Patreon and a website and all their socials. And then I've seen it on TikTok. There's people, you link your TikTok, you put your link tree in your TikTok, and you've got your Instagram and your YouTube page and whatever else you're doing. But what people aren't doing is they're not getting their own traffic, basically. So you're driving your traffic somewhere else. So I actually saw this on TikTok, and I told you about it. I was like, we could make a link tree on our website. So it's just a hidden page on your website that hosts all those links that you want people to drive to.
And people just name this page /linktree so people know what it is in your bio.
There you go.
And here's the thing, like it's so easy. You're like, I don't want to. Alex went to the bathroom after telling me this idea and came back and he said, hey, maybe we should do Linktree now. I'm like, oh, I did it while you were in the bathroom. Like I just copied and pasted the stuff. It took 20 seconds.
You can stylize it yourself. It's got all your own branding, logo, aesthetic, whatever, and it has all that same information. But now when people click it, they're coming to your website, which is increasing your traffic, which is boosting your search engine optimization. And it's just crazy not to do it.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing it more and more now because I've seen it, and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to tell everyone.
DM every account.
Yeah, like
you're on,
every person. Hey,
man.
actually, you should be running this traffic to your website, and you can make a hidden.
Well, it's like a really good tip. And again, because everyone's like, I think we talked about this also. Small businesses, there's a lot of tools out there for small businesses, and you see it in everyone's profile, and so you get one too because you're like familiar and it handles things for you. But if you just do like the small bits yourself like that, when you realize that Linktree doesn't offer anything besides a page with links, first of all, Linktree is a genius business plan. Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know. Do people pay for Linktree? Is there a paid version of it?
There is.
What would you get out
It's
of
like
it?
maybe like you get a moving background or something. You can like input a video or
The
something.
way you said it and then rotated your like shoulders.
A moving
background.
Yeah, you can have that. Although you can just go on probably any web page and do that. But again, I think people are scared. We live in like the Squarespace era where everything is very like plug and play, like drop your text box here. No one's doing like even the MySpace level coding anymore. Which I don't bemoan. I never knew how to do it. I'm just saying like everyone's like I'm phobic of doing any work myself.
The only thing I remember from MySpace is like how to do a line break.
I don't even know
which
that.
was like less than sign, BR, greater than sign. And that like did a line break in your like HTML code or whatever.
I think I can remember how to make text bold on Reddit. And that's what I know.
Nice.
So that's business tips. Anything else we came up with this week that's good?
We kind of covered all the other stuff earlier, membership stuff. The biggest topic was you wanted to talk about was Epic and Apple going to the courtroom.
Yeah, so this is
joust.
A story that I didn't realize how old it was because I'd heard about it, but again, I found it back in the back of my brain as things I don't care about. Fortnite, Apple, and I mean, like, I don't really care about Epic Games. They're fine. They make Gears of War and Unreal. That's amazing, and I didn't even realize they made Fortnite for the longest time. But
I mean, Unreal Tournament was a great game.
Unreal Tournament. Well, they make the Unreal Engine too, which I didn't realize how big of a.
Wait, they make the engine?
Oh my God! Yeah, you didn't realize that?
I didn't know they made the engine.
See, that's what. Okay, and that's part of the very.
I guess that makes sense with Unreal Tournament.
The wide-reaching implications of this court case, because how much of it do you know about?
I know that Fortnite was removed from the App Store because Epic believed that Apple was taking too big of a percentage or something.
Yeah. So like when you go on the App Store, developers are only getting, say like an app is $1. This is the easiest way to calculate it. Is like Apple gets like 30%. So when your app is $1, Apple gets 30 cents and the developer gets 70. And so what actually happened was like there's some rule where you can't charge in-game currency and stuff. Like Apple has to get a cut of your in-game stuff too. And Epic came out and kind of, and if I messed parts up on this, like, sorry, you can correct me or something, but Epic wanted to start offering in-game purchases for less money with the idea, like, saying to their customers, hey, it's cheaper here because we don't have to pay anything to Apple. The idea here, though, was to upset Apple because the minute Apple pulled all that stuff, Epic was ready with a lawsuit. This was basically a setup on Epic's part.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so this was in April of last year, and I think in the pandemic news is why I really didn't catch any of this because bigger things were happening. I personally had COVID, so didn't have time for it. But they've been going back and forth, and now Apple is countersued. So they think they've got a strong case, and now they're going to court, and I think Epic is hoping for a 5-week trial. Apple's trying to wrap it up real fast. So they both think that they've got like a really good case basically. But I think the thing with Epic specifically is like, I've been trying to like get this idea out of my head. Like when you look at a news story, like these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. Like trying to, right. Cause I would look at stories and I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I was catching myself like in traps where I was defending somebody who didn't deserve it. Cause I automatically pick sides in my head or something like that. Anyways. Just a little media literacy tip. Don't pick sides. You'll end up defending Andrew Cuomo to your father-in-law in April and then feeling really stupid about it in February. Oh, yeah. Don't defend politicians. You'll really regret it, especially to your father-in-law. But anyways, this really is kind of like a little bit of a David and Goliath thing, but also because Epic is so big, right? Like they made Fortnite. They make the Unreal Engine. They have decades of stuff. They're probably the only developer that could stand up to Apple and say, hey, and like, trick Apple into this kind of court fight where if Apple loses, they're going to be losing a lot of money. I mean, 30% on every purchase in game. So 30% of like $10, 30% of $100.
Sure.
Especially with these games that have these free-to-play models, which we all know is just code for microtransactions. That both the developer but also Apple rake in so much money. So this could end up with, things being cheaper. This could end up with nothing changes and Fortnite just stays off iOS. But ultimately, I think Apple's a terrible company and everyone who buys their products is a little bit of a slave.
I have many Apple products.
Why do you buy Apple products?
Just because I think I started getting MacBooks because my Windows laptops felt like they were just dying in a year. And it, this was in the period of like everyone's got a computer virus, and you have to have antivirus software,
malware, anti-malware, something.
And that just became too much to worry about. And Mac was like, no, you can't get a virus. And I was like, oh.
Right. That's because
Cool.
of their whole approach being like, what do they call it? Like a walled garden, a closed system, essentially.
Yeah, like you can only get apps from specific developers. I
Right.
mean, you can open that up, and it has opened up. And
that's part of the controversy, right? Where Apple, like, the only place on an iPhone you can get an app to run on your phone is the App Store.
Right.
Google also pulled Fortnite, which I don't know if you knew.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but the thing is, because it's an Android, you can still just like turn off a protection on your phone and go download that thing.
Okay.
I mean, this is mostly also Epic's big pitch is like moving to the Epic Store, which I think we're all like more comfortable now with than we were.
It still sucks though.
It's
on the computer at least.
It sucks, but it's like
it's the same bad as the Origin Store and any of these other things that are not Steam.
Right.
It's completely the user interface is awful. Like Jonah tried to update like FIFA on it must have been Origin.
I've tried to open games on Origin that were just
Couldn't
pictures.
even find the library.
Well, we had a customer in here who was like, I can't open Battlefront. And I came over and I clicked Battlefront and it didn't open. So I was like, Alex, come over here. And he just told me I was clicking a static picture. It doesn't open anything.
It's a bad interface. This is the Silicon Valley had a good joke about how the Pied Piper interface was so terrible because it was designed by a bunch of like tech
engineers.
Engineers, and not by someone who is trying to use the actual.
You need like
program.
a dumb person to design all of your interfaces because that will make it accessible to everyone else who doesn't get it. Like
the only reason Steam's really works is because it's so old that that's the way everyone knows how to use it.
Yeah.
But realistically, if I'd never seen it before, it's just as ugly and like unusable.
Oh, it's not just ugly. Like I still get trapped in things where I think I'm in my library, but I'm in the store actually. Like, and I'm like, wait, how do I
get back? Yeah,
exactly. I get lost in Steam. There's a lot of stuff on there. Oh shit! But it's everyone realizing in the same way. There's like some bullshit like HBO Max and Peacock now. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, Netflix worked. We can do that.
And talking about interfaces, those are all awful too.
Oh yeah, they're
like,
terrible.
Hulu will try to start a show wherever I fell asleep, and it won't let me start it from the beginning without like rewinding all the way back. Amazon Prime doesn't even display some of their top shows when you click like Prime exclusives. Netflix is the only functional platform.
Peacock and all they do is pump out garbage. Let's be clear. If I was paying for Netflix and my parents weren't, I'd be canceling it. Like never. The movies are bad now. This is just a whole other thing. I mean,
this is about interfaces. Peacock's got a bad interface too.
They've all got bad
Disney
interfaces.
Plus is okay, but still, like it's like there's so much content for Disney that they didn't know how to organize it. So like Disney Channel originals have to have a weird subsection, and it's just Marvel gets their own like love. It's crazy.
I'm so mad because of course I remember hyping this to my uncle when I was like 14. I was like, yeah, man, like cable's out. Like everyone's going to be able to pick what they want. But now that everything's scattered across 11 different apps.
Paramount's got a new one coming out.
Oh my God. And you end up paying the same amount you paid for cable. So like in the end, it's all garbage. I mean,
What's worse is like the fact that like Peacock still has ads. That's the only reason why like Netflix is king is there's no ads ever.
I don't mind Amazon's ads.
Amazon's ads are fine because they're like movie ads for movies that you might actually be interested in.
Right, yeah.
And it's like they're only at the beginning. But Peacock, I don't know if there's a different version of Peacock. I just have the one that came with Xfinity.
Is it because these shows are made
ads
with the 3-act structure? Like they're NBC, they're network TV shows, so they're just like they're written to have breaks.
I think they're just trying to promote all their other content though. So they're like, hey, I don't think it's like I'm sure it's not like a Charmin ad or something. It has to be other TV related ads. There's no way they would try to get me, but I might be wrong on that.
So
but Hulu is just
it's a bad app also.
Hulu might as well like they have more ads than a 10-minute YouTube video, and it drives me nuts.
Well, but again, occasionally they also pick up distribution for like they just got Nomadland, which I am very excited to go see. Have you seen anything about that?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be like hypothetically the movie of the year.
Who's in it? What's it about?
Frances McDormand The pitch, like most movies, sounds terrible, but if you go watch a trailer, it's really good. Frances McDormand is a former substitute teacher from, I'm gonna guess, somewhere middle America, just after the Great Recession.
This Frances is the woman from Three Billboards?
Yes.
Okay.
She's at a career high.
Yeah.
She's knocking it out.
She's very good.
She's so good. Her husband's a miner. He dies. She's a substitute teacher in the Great Recession. She loses her job. And
the way you said miner, I was instantly was like, what is he, 16?
Oh, like, because they're like doing crypto?
Well, he's a miner.
Oh!
It's like, okay, she married a miner. Weird plot.
Yep.
Okay, so her husband dies in he's a miner.
He's a coal miner, if you
go.
can stretch your imagination to allow for it. But yeah, Great Recession, and she kind of like has no means of really generating an income, and she travels around roughly the American West somewhere in her car, and she maintains a relationship with her daughter, who's like old enough to have her own life, and like, his mom, are you homeless? And she's like, oh, I just move and stuff. And it's basically about it's
That's a good line.
It's something roughly along those lines, but it's beautifully shot.
Who shot it?
The director is Chloe Zhao.
Who's that?
I think this is her debut.
I've never heard of any of these people except for Francis.
Nomadland. I mean, my favorite YouTuber for movies, his name is Karsten Runquist. He's a really good guy and everything. You should go check him out. He does everything from Zootopia.
He's a good guy. Do you know him?
He's a good guy for movies. He's the guy who'll talk to you about like Zootopia, but also like the 400 Blows. Like, it's non-pretentious. Like, all movies will be talked about, and I appreciate that about him. But
okay,
I'm looking at who did the cinematography. I might not have an answer for you. It might not matter, but I don't know. I'm just excited to go to movies again, because we brought up again the lifting of restrictions on movie theaters. Like, I'm more excited for movie theaters than I am for us.
Time to get some AMC stock rolling.
Yes, as things pick back up, hopefully. Joshua James Richards is the name of the cinematographer.
Unfamiliar with this person.
Right. Also, I mean, I think we're clocking in the end of this right now, but
yeah, that's just a little movie talk at the
movie
end.
talk.
Talking about user interfaces.
I'm excited for the new. What's his name? It's not Paul Thomas Anderson. Who's the other guy that? I'm not gonna say he sucks, but he's like a twee. Bro, help me. Grand Budapest. What did he do? What's his name? Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson.
The new Wes Anderson looks great. Have you seen the commercials for it?
I feel like I have. What's it called?
It's called The French Dispatch, and it's
yeah.
it looks A plus.
I'll tell you what. That last Isle of Dogs movie, a real snooze fest.
Oh, I hated that movie.
I'm not big in animation. I think it has to do with the Uncanny Valley, but I wasn't a big Fantastic Mr. Fox fan, which a lot of people are like, how could you not? And I'm like, it's literally like Ocean's 13, which is why they got, all the same voice actors. You got George Clooney and stuff, but it's like,
I wonder if you're about to arrive at the exact same thing that I arrived at 2 days ago, which is, I actually hate Wes Anderson, but Grand Budapest is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
No.
It's so good.
I saved Latin. What did you ever do?
What? You say what?
See? Have you seen Rushmore?
I started it and it didn't stick. Did you like it?
You gotta watch Rushmore.
Okay, you thought it was that good?
Rushmore's such a solid flick.
Plus, I'll go back to it.
Plus, I mean, they're all Royal Tenenbaums is. I mean, we could get on a Wes Anderson tangent. I thought Royal Tenenbaums is a very good movie.
I thought when I watched it when I was 15, I was like, this is unfunny
Arrested
Development.
It again. You gotta watch it again. It's so like obtuse, and it's like, I think it's probably Wes Anderson at his like best, finding that style coming out of like, what was that? I think Darjeeling Limited. Maybe it came out before that.
It did, yeah. That was like 2006.
But like coming out of, if you watch the progression of it, like that's where he like nailed and landed everything he was trying to do.
Without it being too twee.
I don't know what that even word is or means, or is like, I can't spell it in my head, so I don't know.
TWEE. Like elbow patches and like cutesy. Actually, I would say everything that Moonrise Kingdom would defines twee. Like,
interesting.
That late 2010s hipster Zooey Deschanel ukulele.
Thrilled by Moonrise Kingdom, I'll admit.
That's why I would say when I air quotes hate Wes Anderson. I just mean like I watch Moonrise Kingdom and I watch Fantastic Mr. Fox and
I watched all the bad ones.
I watch all the ones where I was just like, oh my god, like
I think
so much style over substance.
Yeah. His narratives are very loose, and you have to kind of accept that. It's like a half mumblecore, half like normal feature film.
But I don't and again, because I mean this, I think Grand Budapest is one of the best movies of the decade. And I wouldn't make it a loose narrative at all. It's a very tight, like, exciting,
well, that's
funny.
probably why it's better. But
It's
even
way
like,
better.
I've seen it. I couldn't give you like a verbal description of the film's narrative.
It didn't land the first time for me. It's based off of like the writings of a dude named Stefan Zweig, who was the most popular author in Europe from like 1915 to 1930 until Hitler burned all his books and he wasn't widely published in America. He's one of my favorite authors. But they borrowed all the plot devices and characters and stuff from that guy. Sure. And I think that guy plus Wes Anderson, beautiful combo. So
interesting. Well, I think this looks to be very much similar to Grand Budapest,
which is why I'm so
returning
excited.
to that stylistic approach, but also.
And also, it looks like shorter contained stories with, again, Francis McDormand is in this one, as is Benicio del Toro. Is that the guy? He was in Star Wars. Sure. You know him. He's like this or whatever. He was supposed to be like the code breaker.
Yeah, that sounds like Benicio del Toro to me.
Yeah.
Good impression. I was like, is he here?
It's the vibe you get from him. He just like always like looks like he like crawled out of like oil slick or something. Is like, I could tell you a secret, but I will not. Like that's kind of what I get.
Yeah, I do know the character in Star Wars you're talking about.
Yeah,
now,
he's like in the dark throwing a ball or something.
Why does this person exist in Star Wars?
Oh my, what a how much longer can we talk about?
No, we gotta end this.
We'll end it on The Last Jedi was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Agreed.
Oh, terrible. Anyways, anything else on the docket, as we're gonna say?
Come on into Crazy Alex's computer.
I have something.
Emporium.
We are very excited to announce our friend Dave from Psychic Drive is going to be dropping off 2 new pinball machines in our space.
Don't tell them what they are. Make them come see them themselves.
I won't tell you anything besides that they're pinball machines. That's what you want, right? Don't specify beyond that.
I don't want you to tell them how cool they are. I want them to come find out for themselves.
You'll
I'm
see
having
pictures
deja vu.
What I hope
Did we do this before?
No. This isn't all. This is brand new. I can tell you right here. I've never done this before. But we're gonna have a new pinball in here, and it's gonna go with one of our other pinball machines. And he's looking to see if there's interest in this kind of thing, and who wants to see maybe he'll build out more here, and we'll get more of an arcade thing going in the corner. So I'm excited.
Cool.
All right, I think that's it for the week. Thank you all for stopping in. My name is Jake.
And I'm Alex.
And this has been the Replay Cafe podcast.
On the Replay Cafe.
Wait, one more thing.
Oh, wait.
I think we named the podcast.
It. Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh. Well, I was going
to let you go.
The Replay Cafe podcast.
Yeah, go with the real name.
The real name of this podcast, if you didn't know yet, is called Uncut Games. Alex named it. Alex, why'd you name it that?
Well, I didn't want to get into whole. I was going to just cut to music right after you said Uncut Games.
All right, 3, 2, 1, cut.